One of the problems about the flood of information that we have access to in the social media is the fact that we also get a lot of fake news and a lot of disinformation. The big challenge is how to distinguish between truth and falsehood, especially when people do not even bother to do some fact checking. It is not always as simple as distinguishing between black and white. You see, good liars, meron bang ganon? Or people who are good at lying often start with a little bit of truth. But they can weave it so skillfully with a lot of other data so that when they twist it into a lie, you hardly even notice the inconsistency. This is a little bit like what a good magician does with a sleight of hand. He can make a card or a ball or a coin or even a piece of handkerchief appear or disappear, or so it seems. By distracting your attention or by redirecting your attention. And just when you think he has it in one hand, you're suddenly surprised to find out it is gone. Listen to what the symbolic serpent character in today's reading is saying to the woman. Totoo bang sinabihan kayong huwag kakain, bawal kumain ng lahat ng bunga? Is it true? God really told you not to eat of any of the trees in the garden? He is not exactly stating a fact. Take note. He is pretending to be simply asking an innocent question, kuno, that contains a piece of information. A piece of information that is wrong. But, it seems partly right. In fact, he is able to draw a reaction from the woman who defends God's integrity by correcting what to her seems like fake news or disinformation. Ang sabi ni Eva, hindi totoo yan. No. God said, we are allowed to eat of any of the trees in the garden. It is only about one fruit in the tree, only about the fruit of the tree in the middle of the garden that God said, hindi pwede. You shall not eat of it or even touch it. Otherwise, you will die. That is how the serpent finds an entry point for his, what I call, disinformation campaign. Nag-iintriga. He sows an intrigue about the very piece of information that has just been volunteered by the woman, by insinuating that maybe God has deliberately hidden the truth from them. Maybe God was keeping them away from that particular tree, not because it could harm them, not because it could cause them to die, but because it could open their eyes and make them wise like God. In short, the serpent is able to twist things so well. He is able to convince them na ang nagsisinungaling ay ang Diyos. That it is God, not He, who is lying. And for a while, Adam and Eve actually believe Him. Ang tawag ngayon dito ay alternative truth. Alternative truth. It is a malicious intrigue that is made to sound like a piece of fact. And it can influence people into action. Falsehood can be made to sound so attractive. It can even make you go out of your way to share it, or even to convince other people about it, the way Eve shared it to her husband, Adam. By the way, napansin niyo ba, yung mga buttons that are always found under a Facebook posting or a news feed, tatlo lang. Like, comment, share. Si Eve, nag-comment muna siya. Nag-comment muna siya dun sa sinabi ng serpent. And she got a reply. Next, nag-like siya. She liked the reply, which made the forbidden fruit seem to her really likable. In the words of the storyteller, the story says, the woman saw that the tree was good for food, pleasing to the eyes, and desirable for gaining wisdom. Hindi lang niya nilagyan ng like, pinusuan pa niya. She gave it a heart. Not only did she eat it herself, shinare pa niya. She even shared it to her husband. In today's language, when something gets a lot of likes and a lot of shares, nagba-viral. And the psychology of it is, if it is viral, it must be true. Bad psychology. If it is viral, it must be true. Do you believe that? You don't even realize sometimes that what you just shared is a lie. Adam and Eve do not realize this until later, that they had actually been tricked or seduced by a lie. And when they realize it, anong reaction nila? They cover up. And the writer tells us, they used to walk with God in the Garden of Eden. Now, they are hiding from God. Anong kinalaman ng lahat ng ito sa ating gospel sa araw na ito? Well, Jesus could open the deaf man's ears in order to get him to hear. He could open the deaf man's mouth to get him to speak. But he could not get the crowd to keep quiet about it. He liberates a man who has been silenced for a long time. This man was indifferent before. Now, he could hear the truth and react to lies. He was silent before. Now, he could speak out and stand his ground. But when Jesus tries to shut the mouths of the onlookers, the fence sitters, the kibitzers, the rumor mongers, he fails. You know, Jesus does not succeed all the time. He fails in shutting them up. The more they are told to keep it to themselves, the more they announce it to the world. Because they do not really care about the truth. They only care about what is controversial, what is sensational, what seems out of this world. Ito yung tipo who will shout, Hosanna to the Son of David at one time. And just a few moments later, sabi nga sa maraming video, a few moments later, crucify him. Crucify him. They are the ones who are more easily seduced by lies, which they bite, hook, line, and sinker. Ika nga sa English. They gobble it up as alternative truth. You see, opening minds and hearts is more difficult than opening ears and mouths. Mark tells us Jesus looked up to heaven and groaned. And I imagine Jesus still groaning from his guts, especially when people's minds and hearts are shut up tightly by fear and the instinct of self-preservation or by the desire to play God. Merong isang shrine in Japan, in Nikko, Japan, called Toshogu. And it is decorated with 3 monkeys, 3 unggoy. 1 monkey covering its eyes, another monkey covering its ears, and a 3rd monkey covering its mouth. And they are supposed to suggest that people who try to restrain themselves from seeing and hearing and speaking evil are wise people. Well, I think our readings today are telling us that it can work both ways. It is also hard to open the eyes, the ears, and the mouths of people who pretend to see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. Why? Because they have already been seduced by evil or overcome by lies and have accepted lie as an alternative truth.